Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. We are ready to deliver a brand new video with latest piece of information about topic of your interest, big news of 2023, no green cards for which countries and immigrant visa not allowed in which countries. To get an immigrant visa, the first step in obtaining a green card or legal permanent residence, applicant must travel to a consular office for an in-person interview. This critical step is a common practice in many nations. In some, applicants may have to travel a long distance to another consulate. In others, the U.S. does not process immigrants' visas at all, forcing applicants to get authorization to go to a third nation for processing. If you are interested in any of these, stay connected to the end of this video. Do subscribe to our channel and press bell icon to get new updates instantly directly to your YouTube homepage. Now let's get into the video and find out what's new in U.S. immigration. This lack of processing is not due to the closure of COVID-19, rather, it is the result of a simple policy choice made by the United States Department of State. Beginning in 2022, the State Department will no longer offer routine immigrant visa processing in 67 countries for an indefinite period of time. Approximately 720 million people called the countries that do not routinely process immigrant visas their home. The primary alternative processing locations for these countries were located a distance of approximately 1,101 kilometers, 669 miles. Over the course of the previous decade, the State Department has granted more than 400,000 people from these countries immigrant visas. It almost certainly would have issued many more if not for this significant hurdle. You can find a list of the countries without an immigrant visa processing consulate. The list of countries is based on the list of nationalities that the United States recognizes for purpose of processing non-immigrant, or temporary, visas. The countries without routine immigrant visa processing are due to following reasons. Number 1. Closed consulates in another 12 countries. 18% of cases, the State Department has closed the consulates. These are permanent or indefinite closures and not related to COVID-19. This list continues to grow. The earliest such closure was in Iran in 1979, and although other Western countries like the United Kingdom do process visas there, the United States has made no attempt to revisit this decision in over 4 decades. In 2019, the State Department closed its consulate in Venezuela to demonstrate political opposition to its government. Most recently, the United States shuttered embassies in Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia, even though there is no fighting occurring in the later two nations. One solution to this problem would be for the United States should divorce visa issuing functions from whether it has diplomatic ties with that country. Number 2. No consulate available in 24 countries. About 36% of those without immigrant visa processing, the country simply does not have a consulate or embassy. Though this doesn't always mean that there are no U.S. consular affairs officials in those countries, the lack of a consulate means that there is no opportunity to apply for visas in those countries. The two largest countries in this group are North Korea and the State of Palestine, where the United States has no diplomatic ties. The rest are small states and island nations, the largest of which is Comoros with nearly 900,000 residents. Number 3. Non-immigrant only in another 28 countries. About 42% of cases actually have a consulate, but it only processes non-immigrant, or temporary, visas to the United States. It will not handle immigrant visas. In one way, this makes sense because non-immigrant visas are much more common than immigrant visas. But it is also difficult to justify excluding such a small percentage of applicants when immigrants typically have much closer connections to the United States. The State Department should make immigrant visa services immediately available at these locations. Number 4. Almost no visas or no visas. The final 3 embassies, 4%, without routine immigrant visa processing offer no visas at all. Central African Republic, and very limited non-immigrant visa processing, Timor-Leste and South Sudan. It is very common for the alternative locations to not even be on the way to the United States, which results in journeys that are significantly longer than the raw mileage would indicate. However, as the attorney Amian Kaku explains, the absence of visa processing in the country is not simply due to the country's geographical isolation. For instance, not only Iranians required to leave Iran in order to attend the interview of their visa, but they also have to leave their country of origin in order to attend other steps of the immigrant visa process, such as the medical examination, which makes the distance even more expensive. When it is difficult to access the alternative locations, this can lead to additional complications. For instance, Yemenis are required to have their paperwork processed in Egypt, but before they can enter the country they must first obtain a visa. The absence of in-country processing, according to estimates provided by attorney Rafael Urenia, can add tens of thousands of dollars to the total cost for large Yemeni families. Because of Israel's entry restrictions, it can be difficult for Palestinians to have their visa applications processed in Jerusalem. The following is a depressing account of an Iraqi family who obtained visas to travel to Turkey for the purpose of processing their applications for entry into the United States, but their Turkish visas were allowed to expire before the State Department completed their applications. Ben Skamiso was told by an Afghan that he spent his entire life savings on a permit to travel to Pakistan so that he could visit Pakistan. However, there are some applicants who simply are unable to make the trip to another embassy. Army Captain Jeff Trammell told NBC that the reason he has been unable to obtain an immigrant visa for his Afghan interpreter is because there is no embassy in Afghanistan. Trammell was explaining why he has been unable to obtain the visa. Trammell expressed his dissatisfaction with the fact that electronic remote interviews were not being conducted. The requirement to interview at a U.S. embassy or consulate is one of the requirements that rarely makes it into a summary of U.S. immigration law, despite the fact that it is important and can be very challenging in certain circumstances. However, it is one of the requirements that must be met in order to be eligible for immigration to the United States. The Department of State should conduct virtual interviews and give applicants for immigrant visas the option of interviewing at consulates that are currently reserved only for applicants for non-immigrant visas. It is possible to significantly reduce the burden of immigration to the United States without the participation of Congress, and the current administration should not squander the opportunity to do. So that's all we have for you in this bulletin. I hope you found this video useful. We will post new videos when there are more updates. Our channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. all-type visas. Thank you for visiting us today and see you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel for more U.S. immigration update videos.